Hey everybody, just back recording, just starting. I'm on my walk for a few moments, but just starting my recording, and as soon as I went to hit start, I walked right into a rock. Not walked into it, but I seen this turquoisey rock, and blossoming and blooming is a big thing that I'm talking about right now in my work as we're getting ready for fall, and I'm talking about blossoming, blooming. And so this is live, love, laugh, and you know, those words are such simple words, and they're written everywhere, and you see them on everything, and they've just become words in so many ways that we take them for granted, and we don't look at them the way that we should. And so we're back now in series 2. This is video, I think this is 6 or 7. I'm not sure, 6, I think. And so this is, a time when we look at the things that we take for granted, or the things that just become like things just become words. It's the same thing. We don't give energy. We don't explore or pay attention to the energy that's behind the things that we do in life. And this is a Sylvan Lake rock, whoever painted this rock, they did put their energy, they thought into it, and then they probably go home and they wonder who found the rock, where did it go. And it's one of those things that there was an intention to the painting and to who will find it, and there was such energy that was blossoming at the time for that person. And whoever finds it, not everyone is going to really be living, laughing, loving, because most people are just breathing, which means just existing, which is my work, right? You're just breathing. If you're just a mushroom piece of this world, and you're just breathing, you're just existing, you're just doing what you have to do, you're just doing the minimal to survive, and being dependent upon everything outside of what is inside of you to help you to be able to cope, to live, to get by. Then there's a period of time in our lives when we really have to stop and look at what we have planted. I've got 3. So I just picked up a pumpkin. We'll add that in, and it says thankful. And now we have a donut, a sparkly, sweet little donut. And now we got to move all these rocks. My goodness. I must be the queen of finding rocks, even though I don't get to post them all. But it's all Sylvan Lake rocks. So I will tag Sylvan Lake rocks in these posts so that they can see that I found them, but I'm video recording, so I can't take pictures. Well, maybe you can, I don't know. You probably can. And so with these Sylvan Lake rocks, is that they've also been inspiration for me. So, when we find ourselves in that energy of having to find every which way to cope, to just get by, it really is a time to look at the energy that we are putting into our own lives and into our own life, not our lives, not all of this that's happening outside of you, like out there in that world beyond these trees, but what you're putting, into you, into your life, this human existence of you. What are you doing to add love and laughter? What are you doing to color up your world? What are you doing to discover and find? If you have no joy, what are you doing to find joy? Are you doing anything to find the things in your life that you want to find? And I start every single morning. My nose is running. I start every single morning with thank you. I wake up every morning, no matter what the day feels like it's going to be. Thank you. I'm here to try again. I'm here to put some effort in again. And so A life with no energy, without providing the energy or plugging into energy, is actually like living dead while we're alive, right? You're here, but that whole sense, and I have such compassion for this, on feeling like, we're giving up on life. And when we give up on life, we're not giving up on life, we're giving up on ourselves. We're giving up on ourselves. We're deceiving and quitting on the most valuable things that is a part of the creation that has such divine purpose. And a lot of that happens when we get so laser focused on ourselves, because where you give attention, where you put that attention, right, where you put your energy, all that attention goes. And all of this comes out to be attitude, which is my everyday goddess oracle cards, right? It comes out as attitude. And before you know it, you have this attitude that nothing is going as planned. You become the attitude of unlovable. And even if you're lovable to everybody else, you're not being lovable to you. So, planting rocks. And so as you find, yourself looking at your world and looking at your life, is that often we're not being what we need to be to ourselves. And with that attitude, sometimes we have a shitty attitude, sometimes we have a poor attitude. Hello, I am well, and you? Good.
You collect stones?
I'm collecting all the colored stones. I'm moving them around. I do it every time I walk. I gather them up and then I put them in new spots. Right? That's my only Sylvan Lake friend that I don't even know his name. Oh, I don't need that. That's my only Sylvan Lake friend that I don't know his name. We pass each other each and every day as we walk, and he broke through the will, and he makes sure he can walk for his dog, and he walks in his little motorized little scootery thing, but he's out, and we're both out. And so when we look at that, is that we're not, when we have that attitude, we're not really living. And so when we're not living, when we're not filling up, when we're not building up and banking, investing into the energy that's within us, is that we have to look at our own stubbornness, our own attitude of, why do I have such a shitty attitude towards myself? Why do I treat myself as shitty as I do? And you can say, oh, I don't, I'm kind to me. But if we are continually doing things that we know that are not kind, if we continue to do those things to ourselves, then we somehow have an attitude towards our own selves. It's like you become a rebel or rebellious towards you, or you become the enemy and you become defiant. And so as we're stepping into this world today, as we're looking at the energy that we put into investment into ourselves, and we spoke about all this before, but as that rock came up, it was like live, love, laugh. And I'm like, well, I bet probably a good portion of people have that either written somewhere, they share it in a meme, or they have it on their wall. But most people are not putting full energy into it, and looking at the energy behind it. First of all, it's like, when it was written, was it written with no energy? When you bought it, was it bought just to fill a space on a wall, or to share something? Did you think about what it's like to truly live? Or are you still angry that you're not truly living? Are you still angry that there's something inside of you that you contributed to years ago, that you're now paying the price for, that has caused you to not fully be living? Like, is that something that is still existing within your world? Something to think about, right? Because when that's existing within your world, and you're looking at it, such as, you know, such as our emotional eating and those type of things, and I'm using it as an example because I know that is one of my vices that I go to. It's one of my addictionisms. My addictions or isms or vices, when I know that when I'm not filling on energy and I'm not being kind to myself, or I've let something else get in from the past, or that I'm still holding a grudge against myself or against somebody else or anything like that, is I go into that place and, you know, I don't go for the donuts. I don't go for the sweet so much as I go for the salty. And there's so much to be learned about what you actually ingest and what your choice of isms are, and or the way that you choose to numb yourself and not to feel or to shut things down. It really does matter. And when you start to learn to have gratitude for the fact that I am so thankful I am here to have these experiences. I'm so thankful I'm here during this time, I'm going to learn a lot of great things about myself. I'm going to discover a lot of great things about me, leaving the thankful right there. And I'm going to discover more, right, about who and what I am on a deeper level. And so when you start to change it around and you start to discover, I want to live, I want to be healthy, well, that energy in an inspiration becomes you inspiring yourself. But now, how do you have a follow through on that? How do you follow through, or what do you do to follow through? Do you look up the next fad diet? Do you start putting yourself on a really strict diet? Do you start doing those things? Well, all of that is more of everything you don't want, because it's punishment. It's about, how do I create that balance? And we've talked about that before, and we're going to, we revisit all these things because it all goes together, right? It all goes together. And so what you have to look at is, creating balance means, where am I being charged or active, always being activated, or right, being activated or triggered, being triggered by things that are happening in my world that takes me to letting myself deplete my energy. What is triggering that sense of not worthy of myself? What's bringing me into that place within my mind? Why am I in that place in my mind? And why am I feeding myself this information? Huge. So as we look at it deeper and more, and we go deeper and deeper into live, love, laugh, is, what is my true truth about my existence? About my existence that is making me feel, that is having me create the feelings that I am not, that I don't want to give myself more, that I don't want to provide more for my life. And if I don't want to provide more, then why do I give myself more of the unhealthy? Because it's a total paradox, it's a total contradiction to that story of, I don't want more, but you keep feeding and fueling more in. It's just more of everything that you don't want. So how do I come into an understanding and a relationship with love? That's the question. How do I come in to a relationship and understanding of love, so that I can learn how to lovingly treat myself with the same love and compassion that I probably treat others? and to look at it not in a comparison of, well, that's my kids, or that's my grandkids, or that's my friends, or as in if we are all of the one, and if we're all of the child of God, if we're all of that, where we're going to leave the donut, you know, where did I ever learn? Where did I learn my stories of love? And if it was manipulation love, if it was you owe me love, I gave you life, you owe me, right? If it was an obligation of love, then you didn't know love. You knew control and you knew manipulation. So you become defiant to those things that then takes away from the essence of what a life is really created of. And the life is really embodied with this whole system of like fiber optic energy that flows through us. And when it's always being depleted and lacked, then you're never really getting what you need. So what we're going to do here right now is we're going to leave the donut on the bottom of the steps. This. And thank you to whoever painted the donut. It's a cute little donut, but it's not what we need. So it's like, this is one thing that is cute, it's sweet, and it's a temptation. And so where are we being tempted? And how do I find a way to not being tempted, but being inspired, right? And so it's like, what I did a long time back was, instead of eating the chips and beating myself up emotionally, if I ate something that was inappropriate, as soon as it hit me, like, and I knew it would connect to me, I knew it was wrong, I knew I didn't really need it, didn't really want it, I would go back to the bag of chips, and I would beat the living chips, like beat the crap with the chip bag with the chips in it, and then I would chuck it in the garbage. And I wouldn't be punishing me, I would be destroying the one thing that I knew that I had created a love story around, saying, I love chips. And I'm like, how do I love chips? How do I love chips if it's something that is destroying me? Now, can you feel that? How is it that I love chips? How could I love chips when it destroys me? Now, that means that I didn't know love. Because how many relationships in my life were more destructive than they were good or kind or compassionate? How many times in my life was I saying I was doing something loving for me, but it was actually depleting my energy? And the more that I did that, I probably had to do that to, I want to say, a good 10, 12 bags of chips before me and Chips broke up. Before me and Chips broke up. And I know this is a simple one, but we all have vices in our lives, and some are much, much harder, and much, much harder to clear out. And it's not about the quitting, it's about rejecting. It's about what I'm now ready to reject as my truth. And until you can know what the energy behind it is to live, what it is to know laugh, what it is to know that joy, what it is to know love, then you don't have that. You only have the comparison to the things that actually maybe have caused you more of everything you didn't want, more hurt, more pain. And the more you step up to the game, and you put the attention into saying no to what it is you didn't want, that you know is not good for you. Once you know what you love, what you know what love is that sometimes you got to do the tough things. So I had to give up some of the things that I said I loved, but I didn't love them. I was numbing so that I could find a way to love life. And all of that is fake, and it's the way that I could cope, and it was so far from the truth. Because see this walk, that's hard. I do this because I'm learning the power to love life, to love this life, this right here. Because now I'm understanding love is this nature has a love for me, or else it wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. This helps us breathe. This supplies everything that we need and helps stimulate beautiful energy and starts to feed into the energy that provides a better life for me. So how could I love the wine and the chips more than I love this nature? Because I didn't know love. Because I had a skewed view on love. And that meant I loved everyone else so hard and so deeply, which means my version of love was skewed, because what I had for the world was compassion. I wasn't in loving relationships with a lot of people, and I still haven't stepped into a lot of relationships that really matter to me as of right now, because I'm still learning how to be when I do step back in, and to be able to honor what do I have to give and how do I invest in those relationships in the healthiest of ways, and to know that I can be that. It was the same thing as today. The past few days I've been trying to step back into my work and step back into my lives. And I always said I loved it, but there was a painful hidden secret behind stepping into each and every one of those lives that I have to power up before I went in. And now that I've kind of cleared that, I'm working on lovingly putting myself back into that situation or back into that life. And if I don't love it, I can't do it. And tonight I found myself being hit with something that made me have to come out and go for a walk, because I realized that there was some judgment in there that really wasn't serving my soul, or serving my trying to inspire myself to get back in. And so I had to come walk it through, and I had to come back in and look at, am I laughing? Am I enjoying it? Is there joy in there? Is there joy in the experience? And I still have a lot to discover about whether or not even that's my place. And knowing that there is nothing any more important than this life. And I learned that from this little man. That the value of life, I learned it from a lot of our youth who had such short times here, who we loved and cared for dearly. And in their short time, I look at how much they accomplished, how big they lived their lives, how full they lived it. And I think at 50, I want to live it full, but I want to know the energy. I want to know what love is, and what kind of energy goes into love. So if it depletes you, hurts you, destroys you, you don't love it. And so that's anything that you're putting into your body. What you're not loving, what you're doing is you are disconnecting from you. You're telling yourself you love something, but you love the experience of a moment of connecting and sensing that you're still alive, but then quickly depleting from it instantly. It's like a bouncy house. One of those bouncy houses. It's so big and so large as life once it's plugged in and blown up. And kids love it. You unplug it and it deflates and it goes down. So as long as it's plugged into a source, it's got use, right? It's got that life. And so it has to be something that stays plugged in. Got to stay plugged in. You got to stay plugged in to you, to your life. You have to stay plugged into you as a source, and to into a faith, and to a faith in you, and that the world is here for us as much as we're not actually here for the world. The world is here for us, and finding our way back into the journey and the way means creating a life of value, where you value you and you do the things that bring value into your life, and you come to understand some of the greatest things in life. May not feel like the fun it was when you were when you were putting the vices and the isms and the addictions, whatever it is you use, but that was never fun. That wasn't, and that's the whole thing about it, is that it was charging up. It's false, right? It's like falling in love, and it's the beginning, the so-called falling in love, and you're in lust, and you got that beginning stuff, and it's a thrill, and it's all this attention, and then when it becomes work, you don't love it, or somebody backs out. It's because love is a commitment, and love means that you have to become committed to and dedicated to the deeper understanding, discovery of you. And that's what spirituality really is. It's getting so deep inside of you that you become like a grain of sand, but that you understand the power of that grain of sand. Like, there's so much to us, and you don't need all those vices. And I occasionally will say, when I'm with people, I miss the times when I could, get drunk with everybody else or whatever it is. And then I think, no, it's just easier for me to be amongst the group when I could numb myself. And so when I could take me out and I could put a shadow in, and I used to call that my truth, right? My true self is behind all of that. No, there's nuggets of my true self that is hidden in there, that as I'm coming into me, I'm learning that my laugh and my belly laugh really comes from things that truly make me smile. And it could be as simple as catching a frog outside, a butterfly, anything like that makes me laugh hysterical. It just amplifies the energy and charges you up. And find your way into that, and knowing that we are all created of that energy. And so if you got one of those live, love, laughs, you have to look at it a little bit deeper today, because we're here to blossom, not just here to grow. We're here to blossom. We're here to grow up into much more than what we ever think is possible. And we cannot do it as long as we are numbing and distracted and not really honoring life itself. So today, I see you, I honor you, I show you gratitude, love, and thank you for always being there. And thank you for walking with me. Like I said, whether you're just sitting on the couch, but you're walking, you're moving with me. So much love. Have a beautiful day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.